When you find yourself crying more than you smile, when the weight of a relationship feels heavier than the comfort it's supposed to bring, you have to pause and ask yourself one hard question. Is this really love? Because somewhere along the way, too many of us have been taught that pain is just part of being in love. That if it hurts, it must mean it's deep. If you're suffering, it must mean you care. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Pain is not proof of love. Real love doesn't make you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. It doesn't drain your energy, make you question your worth, or leave you crying on your bedroom floor night after night. That's not love. That's emotional chaos. And chaos isn't romantic. It's exhausting. But you stay, hoping they'll change, hoping things will get better, convincing yourself that the highs are worth the unbearable lows. You tell yourself that your tears are just a phase, that love is supposed to be hard, and that's the biggest lie you've been sold. Love isn't supposed to hurt like that. We've been conditioned by movies, songs, and broken relationships around us to associate love with drama, with struggle, with pain. But the truth is, if love feels like suffering, it's not love. It's punishment disguised as affection. It's someone feeding off your patience, your hope, your resilience, while giving you just enough to keep you there. And I know you keep holding on because you remember the good moments, the times they made you feel seen, the laughter, the promises. But if the pain has become the pattern and the peace only comes in short, rare moments, what exactly are you holding on to? You deserve more than a love that breaks you. Because real love, the kind that builds, the kind that nurtures, it doesn't leave you doubting yourself. It doesn't weaponize your kindness or use your emotions against you. It sees your tears and tries to stop them, not ignore them. It holds space for your feelings. It lifts you. It brings calm to your chaos. Love is not a test you have to keep failing, hoping one day you'll pass. It's not something that keeps you up at night wondering what you did wrong. Love is peace. Love is safety. Love is mutual effort, not one-sided endurance. So if the relationship you're in has you constantly in pain, constantly questioning, constantly shrinking to keep the peace, that's not a bond. That's a chain. And chains don't belong around your heart. Set yourself free. Because real love doesn't break you. It finds you already whole and chooses to grow with you. Stop confusing pain with depth. If you have to constantly brace yourself before speaking, constantly rehearse your words so they won't be twisted, constantly shrink your emotions so they won't be too much, you are not in a relationship. You are in survival mode. And survival is not love. Love is not supposed to feel like a war zone. It's not supposed to make you tense up when their name pops up on your phone. It's not supposed to feel like you're walking through a minefield, hoping today won't be the day they explode over something small. And yet, so many people live like this, stuck in connections that drain them, hurt them, scare them, but they stay because they once felt something strong. And they're still holding on to that memory. But a memory isn't enough. A flash of good times doesn't justify a pattern of emotional damage. When you're constantly surviving the emotional roller coaster, dodging blame, over-explaining yourself, keeping quiet to avoid conflict, you're not growing, you're just coping. And there's a big difference between growth and coping. One expands you, the other slowly erases you. You are not meant to be stuck in a relationship where you're always tired. Not from work, not from life, but from them. From the emotional chaos they bring. From the way they drain your energy without ever pouring back into you. That's not partnership, that's punishment. Somewhere along the way, we started confusing endurance with strength. You think because you're still standing, you're strong. But strength is not staying where you're breaking. Real strength is knowing when to walk away. Real strength is choosing peace over pride. Real strength is realizing you don't have to fight every day just to be seen, heard, or respected. If you feel like you're in a constant emotional battle just to keep the relationship going, ask yourself, what exactly are you fighting for? Because love doesn't require war. Love doesn't feel like you're losing pieces of yourself to keep someone else whole. Love doesn't make you question whether you're too emotional or too needy or too difficult, especially when all you're asking for is basic respect. You were not created to be in constant crisis. Your heart wasn't built to carry relationship anxiety as a normal part of daily life. You were made for peace, for balance, for love that feels safe, not love that keeps you stuck in survival mode. So if being with them feels like a battlefield more than a bond, maybe it's time to lay your weapons down and walk away. You are not supposed to be fighting for your life in the place that's supposed to heal you. Sometimes the reason we stay in painful relationships isn't because we don't know it hurts. It's because the pain feels familiar. It's the kind of discomfort we've learned to live with. And when something is familiar, even if it's damaging, we convince ourselves maybe this is just how love is supposed to be. And this goes back to the conversation, but it's not. What you've been taught about love may have been wrong, and sometimes it takes unlearning what you saw growing up or what you've experienced before to finally understand what love should feel like. If you were raised in a home where love meant shouting, silent treatments, or emotional distance, you may now find yourself pulled toward people who make you feel those same things. Not because it feels good, but because it feels known. And the mind craves familiarity, even when that familiarity is hurting you. You start telling yourself that all relationships have their issues. You tell yourself that no relationship is perfect. And yes, that's true, but there's a difference between imperfection and dysfunction. There's a difference between having disagreements and being in a cycle of emotional harm. We've been trained, often unknowingly, to accept less than we deserve. Maybe you had to be the peacemaker as a child, so now you're constantly over-explaining yourself just to avoid conflict. Maybe you never felt fully seen, so now you settle for being half-loved, thinking that's all there is. But love isn't meant to make you feel small. It's not supposed to be something you earn through your silence, your sacrifices, or your suffering. Sometimes the people who come into our lives don't love us the way we need. They love us the way they were taught. And if we don't break the cycle, we'll carry those same patterns into every connection, calling it love, while it's really just a repetition of pain. But here's the truth. You don't have to accept what you were shown. You don't have to keep settling for the bare minimum and calling it a blessing. You can learn a new version of love, one that doesn't leave you empty. But that starts with looking in the mirror and asking, do I believe I'm worthy of something better? Because until you believe you are, you'll keep choosing people who reflect your doubts, not your value. You'll keep thinking you're asking for too much when really you've been asking the wrong people. You are not hard to love. You're just stuck in patterns that were never meant to be permanent. And the moment you stop accepting pain as proof and struggle as standard is the moment you start rewriting what love looks like in your life. You don't have to repeat what broke you just because it... We've been taught that loyalty is the highest form of love. And it is, when it's mutual, when it's healthy, when it's grounded in respect. But somewhere along the way, loyalty became twisted. It became a tool used to keep people stuck in places that break them. You hear phrases like ride or die or real love sticks it out through anything. And suddenly, you're staying in a relationship that's slowly destroying you just to prove that you're loyal. But let me tell you something. Loyalty is not meant to be a life sentence. Loyalty doesn't mean allowing yourself to be mistreated in the name of love. Don't let your loyalty become your cage. When someone repeatedly hurts you, dismisses your needs, makes you question your worth, and you keep staying because they're just going through something or they'll change, That's not loyalty, that's self-abandonment. And love should never require you to abandon yourself. It's not your job to carry a relationship alone. You are not responsible for fixing someone who refuses to do their own work. And you shouldn't have to prove your love by suffering for it. Love is not proven by how much pain you can endure for someone. It's proven in how much peace you can build with someone. The truth is, some people see your loyalty and take advantage of it. They know you're the one who will always forgive, always stay, always give one more chance. And instead of appreciating it, they use it. Because why change if they know you won't leave? Why take accountability when they've never had to face consequences? That's not a relationship. That's control masked as connection. And I get it. You stay because you remember who they used to be. You stay because of how much you've invested. You stay because you've been taught that walking away means you gave up. But sometimes walking away isn't giving up, it's waking up. Waking up to the reality that no matter how deep your love is, it cannot heal someone who keeps wounding you. Waking up to the fact that your worth doesn't increase the longer you stay. It actually disappears when you keep betraying yourself for someone else. Real loyalty starts with being loyal to your own well-being, to your peace, to your future. It means having the courage to say, I love you, but I love me too. It means choosing not to pour into someone who only takes and never refills. Because the right person won't need you to suffer to prove your loyalty. They'll protect your peace, not poison it. You don't prove love by staying in pain. You prove it by knowing when it's time to walk away. We throw the word connection around so easily. We meet someone, we feel that spark, that intensity, that rush, and we assume it must be love. We think, finally, someone who gets me, especially when they've been through pain too, especially when their wounds match ours. But just because someone understands your pain doesn't mean they're meant to heal it. And just because someone's broken in the same places as you are doesn't mean they're your soulmate. Sometimes what we think is love is just mutual trauma calling itself chemistry. You bond over your brokenness. You both come from similar scars, and it feels comforting, familiar. You both know what betrayal feels like, what abandonment feels like, what silence in place of love feels like. So when someone looks at you with eyes that have seen the same darkness, you tell yourself, they get me. But there's a difference between someone understanding your wounds and someone helping you heal them. You can be understood and still not be safe. You can be comforted and still be broken. And when two people are bleeding, their connection might feel intense, but it's not always healthy. Love isn't about who suffered the same way you did. It's about who's ready to grow beyond it. You don't have to keep bonding with people through shared pain. You don't have to keep choosing intensity over consistency. Love isn't always loud. It's not always explosive. Real love often shows up soft, gentle, calm. It shows up as someone who doesn't trigger your fears, but gently teaches you that peace can feel good too. That stillness doesn't mean emptiness. That being safe isn't boring, it's healing. Some of you are addicted to the emotional roller coaster because that's all you've known. You mistake anxiety for excitement. You think love is supposed to make your heart race when actually real love helps it slow down. But when you're used to chaos, calm feels suspicious. When you're used to yelling, silence feels uncomfortable. So you run back to the storm because it feels familiar. But that storm is not love. That storm is unhealed pain dressed up as connection. It's time to stop calling trauma chemistry. It's time to stop romanticizing pain because someone shares your story. A shared past doesn't guarantee a shared future. You deserve someone who doesn't just relate to your suffering. You deserve someone who refuses to keep you in it. You don't need another person to mirror your brokenness. You need someone who reflects your healing. We're taught to give, to forgive, to try again and again and again and again. We're told that love is patient, that love endures, that love means staying even when it hurts. So you stay, you give, you make excuses, you lower your voice, you carry the weight. And somewhere in all of that, you forget yourself. You forget that love is not supposed to cost you. But let me say this clearly. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It's survival. There comes a point where staying is no longer noble, it's damaging. When you've said everything that needs to be said, tried every way you know how, cried behind closed doors, silenced your needs and buried your pain just to keep something alive that keeps hurting you, what else are you waiting for? Some people say, but I've already invested so much. Yes, you have. But how much more of yourself are you willing to lose to prove your love to someone who keeps proving they don't value it? Choosing yourself means finally deciding that your peace matters, that your happiness matters, that your sanity matters. It means realizing that you don't have to light yourself on fire just to keep someone else warm. You can walk away and still be loving. You can say, this isn't for me anymore, without bitterness. You can let go without hating them. But you can no longer afford to keep breaking yourself for someone who doesn't know how to love you whole. And I know it's not easy. Leaving isn't easy. It's not just walking away from a person. It's walking away from dreams, from time invested, from all the what ifs that echo in your mind. But sometimes peace isn't on the other side of staying. It's on the other side of goodbye. And if you wait for the pain to disappear before you choose yourself, you'll stay stuck forever. People will call you cold. They'll call you dramatic. They'll say you gave up too soon, but they weren't there in the moments you hid your tears. They weren't there when you begged to be understood. They weren't there when your silence screamed louder than your words. This isn't about them. This is about you finally coming home to yourself. You've spent enough time explaining, proving, trying to make someone see your heart. Now it's time to protect it. Choosing yourself is not walking away from love. It's walking toward it. The kind of love that starts within. The kind that doesn't require suffering to feel real. You don't have to stay in places that keep you small just to prove you're good enough. You already are.